Hello everyone, welcome to our Ask Geology, a whole new way to understand our Mother Earth. So in this today's 7-minute numerical, we are going to discuss about one geochemistry question, and it is going to be the 8th geochemistry question that is being solved in our Ask Geology platform, and this is actually a GATE question, GATE 2019, and it is actually an important question. Okay, so the question is given the hypothetical garnet peridotite. A hypothetical garnet peridotite composed of 60% of olivine, 25% orthopyroxene, 10% clinopyroxene and 5% garnet undergo 10% batch melting. Okay, batch melting, that means equilibrium melting, described by, this is actually the this melting equation that is also given. Cl by C0 is equal to 1 by F loss of D minus F loss of D, F into D. This is actually the expression for the batch melting. Okay, so where F is the degree of melting, okay, F is the degree of melting, or F is the fraction of melt produced, D is the bulk partition coefficient. The ratio of cerium, Ce, this is one trace element, the cerium in the melt to the original rock will be, and round up to 2 decimal place, and Kd value, the distribution coefficient value of a cerium for olivine, OPX, CPX are given to be 0.001, 0.003, 0.1 and 0.02 respectively. So now just try to factorize this question into different segments. Okay, so it is asking a hypothetical garnet peridotite. Garnet peridotite, this is actually, first thing, this is actually a mantle rock. Okay, and in peridotite, what are the minerals present? Which are present olivine, OPX, CPX, garnet. That implies in garnet peridotite. Okay, in peridotite we know this peridotite, this is one type of ultramafic rock. Okay, and this peridotite, if we if you can remember the triangular diagram, okay, where peridotite is present, where olivine, OPX and CPX, olivine and pyroxene are dominant phases. Okay, and though it is present, garnet is also present, that's why it is, and you can see this 5% garnet, so modal percentage of your garnet present in this peridotite is also high, that's why the naming is garnet peridotite. Okay, so this garnet peridotite is having olivine, OPX, CPX as well as garnet, and now this peridotite, this solid peridotite is undergoing melting. Okay, undergoing melting. Melting means the temperature is increasing, because if the temperature will increase, then that solid phase that will come into liquid, isn't it? So batch melting means it is equilibrium melting. Okay, batch melting means equilibrium melting, and for that melting they have given the equation. This is concentration of the trace element in the liquid to the concentration of trace element in the original is equal to 1 by, this is fraction of melt produced plus of D, this is the bulk distribution coefficient. Okay, bulk distribution coefficient, or you can say bulk partition coefficient, minus of F cross of D. This is fraction of melt produced. This is actually the equation we'll use for this this batch melting. Okay, batch melting. For fractional melting there is a different equation. Okay, and you can see the F is the degree of freedom, F is the degree of melting, or F is always remember, this is the fraction of melt produced. Okay, always remember, if it is, this is for batch melting. Okay, and fractional crystallization there is another formula. Okay, but F, always remember, this F is always the fraction of melt produced. Okay, whether it is crystallizing, then the remnant liquid is there. Okay, that is in the liquid form, that is still in the melt form. Okay, if it is melting, then some amount of melt will be formed due to the increasing temperature. So always F is the fraction of melt produced, or fraction of melt that is present in the system. Okay, and you can see, and D is the bulk partition coefficient, the ratio of cerium in the melt to the original rock. Now he is asking the Cl by C0 value. The concentration of this cerium okay, that concentration of the trace element in the liquid to the concentration of this trace element, which is in this case that is cerium, in the original liquid. What is the ratio? Okay, the ratio of Ce in the melt to the original rock. So this bulk partition coefficient, what is this bulk partition coefficient? Okay, so in this case, okay, this olivine, this cerium, this is actually a trace element. Okay, trace element. Now this trace element can be accommodated in olivine, OPX, CPX as well as garnet. Okay, so if it is olivine, let this to be your cerium, then this cerium can go inside this olivine structure. Okay, and it has some distribution coefficient or distribution fraction relationship with olivine, pyroxene and this garnet. Okay, so it has some distribution coefficient only with olivine, different with pyroxene, different with garnet, and we want to determine the total bulk distribution coefficient that this trace element can go into all these structures, all these mineral phases. So what will be the bulk partition coefficient? Partition coefficient, you are getting partition, how it can just partition, take part. Okay, partition coefficient. So how this bulk distribution coefficient will calculate? This D value, this D is the bulk distribution coefficient. This is your bulk distribution coefficient or partition coefficient. Distribution or partition coefficient. Okay, so now this bulk distribution coefficient, bulk means in the whole rock, pura rock mein, in the whole garnet peridotite, that's why it is bulk distribution coefficient. So individual, then this is the summation of distribution coefficient in all minerals, distribution coefficient of all minerals, then that will be representative of our bulk distribution or the bulk partition coefficient. So how we can calculate this? It is containing 60% olivine, and what is the distribution coefficient of cerium in olivine? That is 0.001. so how we can just calculate the distribution in olivine? That is 0.6. this is 60%, that is 0.6 into what is the distribution coefficient? That is 0.001. okay, plus because this garnet peridotite containing olivine, then OPX is also there. What is the OPX contribution? That is 0. This is 25%, 0.25. okay, this is 0.25 into what is the distribution coefficient? That is 0.003. likewise some other. Okay, that is 0.1 into 0.1 plus of 0.05 cross of 0.02, and in the summation you can see this is contributed by the olivine, this is contributed by OPX, this is contributed by CPX, this is contributed by your garnet, and all they are contributing to the whole garnet peridotite. That's why it is bulk distribution coefficient. Okay, so in this case what is actually the calculation? This is 0.01235. I have calculated it before. Okay, so in this case now just put this value here. You can get CL by C0, you have to calculate this one, and this 1 by this F, this is given 10%. So in this is the fraction of melt produced because it is melting. Okay, 10% batch melting, that 10% of the melt has been produced. Okay, so that 10% is represented by 10%, 10 by 100, that is 0.1. okay, plus of D. What is the value of D? This is the D, bulk D, it is 0.01235 minus of F, what is the fraction of melt produced? This is 0.1 into D value, this is 0.01235. Okay, so if you just simply calculate these things, the answer is going to be let us just this is 8.99. okay, let's just calculate, no problem. This is 1 by 0.1 plus of 0.01235 minus of 0.1 cross of 0.01235. So this answer is 8.99968. okay, so up to, it is asking up to round off up to 2 decimal place, so the answer will be 8.99. this is actually the answer. Okay, so these are all the related things here. So I hope this is actually a step-by-step solution, and some informations we can draw from here. Let's just change the color. Some information that this garnet peridotite, first thing, the peridotite is a mantle rock, and this peridotite contain olivine and pyroxene, both OPX and CPX are present, and if it is garnet, peridotite is containing garnet also. Okay, and the concept of bulk distribution coefficient and the concept of distribution coefficient. Distribution coefficient means, like, if some element, in this case let's take this particular element, okay, in the if it is melting, okay, if it is melting, let's we just consider melting, the cerium is present. Okay, now this cerium, it can just go into the liquid as well as it can reside inside the solid. Okay, so there will be some relation in between the partitioning of this cerium in this solid structure and this liquid structure. Okay, and liquid is as a whole, liquid is one phase. Liquid is one phase. Always remember, liquid is always considered to be one phase, because in that liquid you will not be able to differentiate its constituents. Okay, like in solid, if it is a solid, okay, like if it is granite, what are the major minerals? Quartz and feldspar. So this is actually, granite is solid, and within that solid, quartz is a solid mineral, feldspar is a solid mineral. In this case, we are taking here the mineral phases to be 2, because chemically we can distinguish, or distinctly we can differentiate the quartz and feldspar. Okay, but in case of liquid, you cannot differentiate chemically the distinct phases, because all are homogeneous. In liquid, all are homogeneous. Okay, that's why in phase rule you will be taking that if it is liquid, then the phase is one phase. Okay, but if it is solid, after the eutectic point, when you are just taking after the dioxide anorthite, after the eutectic point, here you are considering the phase to be 2, because this dioxide phase is present, anorthite phase is also present, they are solid. Okay, in this particular, this solid after this eutectic, below the eutectic point, this is actually a solid. Okay, in this phase dioxide is present, anorthite is present, but in this case you are not taking the phase to be 1, because solid phase, chemistry phase, and our geological, mineralogical phase, those are 2 different things. Okay, in thermodynamics, in geology, how we define a particular phase, we can distinctly differentiate, physically distinguish and mechanically separable. That's actually the phase. Okay, so यहाँ पर क्या होता है कि now the distribution of this particular element towards the solid structure or the liquid phase, okay, that determines that towards which it is more leaning towards. Okay, if it is comfortable to stay in the solid phase, then it will stay in the solid. If it is very big enough, okay, if it is not compatible to the solid structure, then it will go into the liquid. This is the concept of compatibility and incompatibility, depending upon the distribution coefficient. All of you know that if D is greater than 1, then we will call it compatible or incompatible. Okay, depending upon this distribution coefficient, the concept of compatibility, incompatibility comes. Okay, and another thing, this liquid always homogeneous, that is one phase, and if it is solid and there are some 2 or 3 mineralogical phases are present, then we just define the phase to be the number of chemical identity which are present inside the solid. Okay, so in this case I think this is this much is good for this description. So I hope you like this video. Thank you. And this is, you can see 8.99, that is our answer. Okay, so thank you very much, and always plant more trees, save our mother earth. And if you are interested to join our group, these are the numbers you can contact. This is the mail ID, you can put a mail, or there will be a link tree given in the description box, by clicking which you can be directly directed to our website, and all the necessary informations you will get there. So thank you, have a good day, and start preparation. All the best.